Hey, I'll give you some basics on what to record and some recording tips. I know I gave you the manual for how to use the camera. I will say that the camera's software is not perfect, but it's really good overall. If you're planning to record something super long, just know that most of the time you'll have a 30-minute window to record a chapter. The file sizes are really big with the 360 videos that we create with the 5.7K resolution. So when the videos are big, the camera doesn't want to get overwhelmed, it doesn't want to make files that are too choppy, so it gives you 30-minute increments. So long story short, if you start recording the camera, you set the camera up, put it on a tripod or whatever, you press play or press record, it start recording. It'll record for 30 minutes, you'll hear a beep beep, and then it'll start recording a new 30 minutes. So if you're leaving it somewhere and it's going to record for 30 to 40 minutes, just know that the first one will be probably done and archived, and the red dot or the timer will probably only read 10 minutes because the 30-minute file will be saved, it'll start recording a new file, and you might be 10-20 minutes into that one. That's most of the time true if you've got a freshly charged camera. The first time you're recording a long video, it will record for 30 minutes. I ask that you keep your eye on the dot from a distance to make sure that the camera is actually recording. Many times I'll click record and think that it's all good, and I'll come back later and it never recorded a video. So just spend the extra 10 seconds, 5 seconds if you want, just to make sure that the timer is on and the video is being captured. And that way you won't come back later and be totally surprised or frustrated that you won't have recorded. So just check that the timer is going. Sometimes the software is a little buggy, so if you've recorded a couple videos that morning or afternoon or whatever, just know that sometimes it will record for like 20 seconds and turn off, or 2 minutes and turn off. That's rare with this camera. With the old camera, that was super common, and I would all the time have to like babysit the camera from a distance constantly. This one's really good, but you'll get the hang of it. The camera uses a lot of processing power. The battery is high density, and it's got kind of almost a heat sink in it, so it doesn't overheat easily like the old camera did. But it will still get warm. So if you're recording somewhere in a warm place, or really hot place I should say, the camera will overheat and turn off to protect itself. So you can try and turn it on as many times as you want until it cools down. It's not going to tolerate it. So keep it in your hand, you can keep it in your pocket to try and cool it down, or just let it cool down over 15-20 minutes, and you can use it again for another half hour. Couple things about recording. Ideally, you'd have the camera in a selfie stick at the very least, because you don't want to hold it in your hand because it will record weirdly your whole arm, and it will like delete your hand, and it will just look odd. Nobody wants to watch a video like this. So if you're going to record a video of just you, or of you going somewhere, or if you're going to record something without the tripod especially, and this is true with the tripod, make sure you're about 2 feet away, 3 feet away from the camera. Just like the side mirrors in your car, objects will be closer than they appear. So for instance, if you're using the selfie stick, remember we took the platform off, so this is just the bottom of the selfie stick, which you can hold on to. If I start recording it from here, you can keep your arm extended if you like, it will not see the selfie stick. It will not see this entire stick when you start recording. It will not really see my hand. It will maybe see a little bit of it. But when you're walking, or when you have the tripod out, make sure that it's not right up on you, because even this close will look like I'm about to give you a kiss. So when you're recording, give yourself 3 feet of space from the camera. It's okay, it will still be able to see you. It's okay if the camera is slightly tilted while you're recording, which I know is a very unnatural thought. Don't worry, it will record just fine. It will get your whole face, it will get the whole sky and everything. So if you're holding it like this, that's probably the way it should be. You can hold it, at a 45-degree angle if you like. Again, 2 to 3 feet from your face is the closest I would get, because the closer you get, sometimes it becomes blurry when things are really close to the cameras. Not exactly, but if things are between the two cameras and you're at all from the side, it'll look really, really blurry. But keep yourself 2-3 feet away from the camera at all times, whether it's on the tripod, straight up and down, and you're 2-3 feet away, and you can record, or keep yourself at a distance with the selfie stick in place. So that's the fundamentals of it. When you're walking, there is some stabilization within the camera, so you don't have to be overly obsessive about walking really tenderly or really slowly, but keep in mind that the camera has some shock absorption in it, so you don't need to do too much there. So the sound piece, the sound is not great, meaning the recording of sound, so you have to be very thoughtful about talking into the camera. You don't have to yell, but even if you're talking to someone as a friend, you have it 3 feet away, but you have to be very deliberate about what you're saying. At some point, we may discuss using a small lapel microphone to record this, but right now we can use the native sound. We're not going to be doing a ton of talking, and it does a decent job. It's not perfect, but it does a decent job. So the fundamentals of that are the time I told you. The battery might last about 90 minutes of recording. Sometimes it can be 2 hours or more, but I would plan for 90 minutes at the max, because also the micro SD card will fill up with data. It will fill up with the video files being so big. You can always check your shot. If you record and you stop recording, then you want to watch the video, make sure you can watch it on the camera. The more watching and playing you do with the camera on and with the touch screen being used, and especially with video playback, it will also drain the battery a little bit. So just plan to have 90 minutes or more of time, about 90 minutes of time when you're recording something. When you're recording, make sure that everything's at eye level, as we said, because people don't like to feel small, they don't like to feel totally abnormal when they're watching a video, but if you could transport someone at eye level to be at that view, that would be good. And I told you about the duration. 30-minute files are the biggest you could probably take in a chunk, and then it will record another file. Don't worry about that, we can always splice them together. And I think that's it for the tripod and selfie stick. Actually, I lied. So the thing that I want you to remember too is that the selfie stick records, the selfie stick, this black thing which is extendable, this records or is not recorded by the camera because there are two 180-degree cameras, one on each side. They record everything outside of them. So if it's within this cut, for the most part, it won't be able to see the selfie stick. You can extend it as far as you like. The camera will not be able to see this entire stick, including the handle. That's just to give you the reassurance. You can hold it at a distance, you can hold it straight up and down. It won't see this. What the camera does have a hard time doing is interpreting what's between the cameras. So if I'm between you, if the camera is between you and I, it will have a hard time seeing my face, especially if I'm within 3 feet of the camera. For instance, I put this in the passenger seat of a car, had it recording, and I didn't tilt it slightly, and so one of the cameras wasn't slightly facing me, the side of the camera was facing me. My face was like blurry like a mutant for like the whole video, and it looked very odd, like you were driving with someone who's from another dimension. So if you're gonna have something like if you're driving or if you're gonna be close to the camera, just tilt it slightly so that the side of the camera is not directly in your face. So this, for instance, would be directly in my face. If you tilt it slightly, I'm gonna shoot right into the camera right here, which is gonna work out just fine. This is also true for the sun. So if you're recording in broad daylight and it's really bright, if one of the lenses is facing the sun and the other one isn't, it will have a hard time interpreting what brightness to use for the final render of the video. One side will look kind of normal and the other side will look kind of odd. So if you can, this is ideal, but you don't, and this is just the professional way, if you can, put the sun between the lenses. So if you see the sun and you know exactly where it's shining, of course, you can just orient the camera so that the sun is basically between the two. It's in the quote-unquote blind spot of the camera, and so they'll have an equal opportunity. Each lens will have an equal way to interpret the brightness. And that's one way to take care of the brightness issue. We talked about the distance and the basic recording from don't be too close to the camera, and that's about it.